start our panel right now.
Okay.
Joining us on set here is Michelle Suskauer, a criminal defense attorney, and Dan Hochheiser is joining us live from Newsmax, New York. He's a former prosecutor. Michelle, Dan, it's great to have you both with us.
Thank you.
And Dan, we'll start with you. Why isn't Ray Rice facing a criminal trial?
Because his lawyers made a deal before the TMZ video surfaced, and while things were quiet, everybody was happy to make that case go away. Now
And
that
so
there's a PR problem for the NFL, things have changed.
And so I guess, you know, as a layman here, this is a case of double jeopardy, you would say, because new evidence surfaced. Can they not go back and change the charges? Does that change anything?
Well, what Ray Rice has to work with is a provision of the collective bargaining agreement, which states the NFL cannot punish a player twice for a single offense. Remember, the NFL punished him initially with a 2-game suspension. Then the TMZ video came out of the punch in the elevator, and then he was suspended indefinitely. So Ray Rice really has a case here.
So, Michelle, we want to bring you into this conversation.
Sure.
Should New Jersey change its pretrial intervention program? What do you think?
Well, I mean, should they change?
Does it matter?
Well, certainly if they did change it, it's not going to affect anything that happens to Ray Rice because he's already resolved his case. But, you know, so I would say probably every state has some sort of diversionary program. Down here in Florida, we have a diversionary program. Certainly in domestic battery, someone who hasn't been convicted of domestic battery before is entitled to be in a diversionary program because basically you're getting the benefit of a dismissal if you jump through every hoop that the state wants you to, which will include treatment, evaluation, whether it's aggression treatment, whether it's mental health or throwing in some sort of alcohol or drug treatment as well. And then an individual is rewarded for doing everything that they need to do on this special diversionary program, PTI.
I want to talk about the power of video, if we could just for a moment.
Sure.
Because I really think it's important to bring up that clip was a game changer. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I think this is...
I mean, Greg Hardy. Let's talk about Greg Hardy for a minute, right? With the Panthers, this player was convicted already and was still playing on the team. And in the case of Rice, no one was as lit up until after they saw that TMZ video. So how has that changed things?
Well, when you have video, especially in a criminal case, and in any situation, certainly you're looking at a video, it is the most powerful thing because you're not just hearing allegations, you're seeing it with your own eyes, you can draw your own conclusions. That video is so incredibly powerful. It's very, very difficult to watch when you see, and so in terms of the criminal case in New Jersey, it is what it is. That's done, okay? But in terms of, you know, the way that the NFL has treated him based on that video, it's...
And should the NFL be ashamed that they didn't react until after the video came out?
And what is that going to... should they be ashamed? I mean, what is that going to do at this point? I think what this is, and they're trying to make up, and I think that he's right, you know, Dan's right, is that there is a big case for Ray Rice here in terms of this double jeopardy, in terms of being punished twice. But the fact is that the NFL needs to look forward. What can they do moving forward as opposed to moving backward just with Ray Rice? This is a learning experience for the NFL.
Well, Dan, I want to bring you back in here, and I want to expand this out a little bit bigger than just this particular case here, because we mentioned the importance now in video in cases. And as a prosecutor, former prosecutor here, is there an expectation now that jury members see something like video before you can actually get a conviction? Does it you know, make it harder on prosecutors to actually get that conviction when we see so many cases with video now, and when you have a case that doesn't have video, you won't get the same effect, obviously?
Right. Video is 1,000 times more powerful than the spoken or written word, in my opinion. And, you know, in the context of CSI and all these law and order type programs, juries do expect hard physical evidence, videotapes, DNA, fingerprints, all that kinds of stuff to corroborate testimony. So video is very powerful, has been, and will continue to be.
Let's talk about the NFL commissioner for a moment.
Sure.
What do you think should happen, Dan, in your opinion? How should the NFL respond in light of these recent scandals?
Well, they have to do something in a real hurry because now they have Ray Rice, they have Adrian Peterson, we have beating women, we have beating children, and they really need to get this PR mess under control before a lawsuit's filed by, say, Ray Rice, and Roger Goodell finds himself at a deposition testifying under oath about what he knew about the TMZ videotape and when he knew it. So they really need to settle this quickly.
And Dan, let me ask you real quick, and then Michelle will also get you to answer this question here. You mentioned that Ray Rice has a case here. You know, how soon, or should we even expect to see Ray Rice playing football again here in the very near future? We'll start with you, Dan, and we'll get Michelle's take on this.
I expect Ray Rice will be on a football field soon. I think that the leverage is on his side because the NFL will not want to air their dirty laundry in discovery and in a court of law. So, yes, I don't know if he'll play with the Ravens, but I think Ray Rice will play with an NFL team this year.
I agree with Dan. I think he's absolutely right. This is a selective prosecution by the NFL, and it's because of this video which has blown everything up. Are we saying that players have not committed or allegedly committed acts since time immemorial? I mean, are you kidding? This has been going on. It's just that we have this video. And so, you know, there are players who have done this and have done significantly worse and continue to play because their teams want to protect them, to keep them on the field so they can continue to make money. So do they really want to go in this direction?
And do you think right now they've hired some women to come on board and kind of help oversee things, the NFL? John, you've been very vocal in your opinion of that, saying that you think it's too little too late.
I think it's very transparent. I think it's too little too late. And I think if there are women who are qualified to be in these positions of advisory roles or whether it's the executive offices of the NFL, they should have been there a long time ago. And, you know, for the NFL to do it now, I think it doesn't really pass the smell test.
Well, I think it's certainly a step in the right direction, but it's a Band-Aid unless there's something really behind it. If there's going to be some real change and some real discussion about what's going on, but again, as I said before, this is something that has been going on with players because you have an aggressive sport, and you have aggressive men who play it. So to think that there haven't been incidents where this has happened before with girlfriends, with wives, with children is, I think, just ridiculous.
Dan, I want to get your thoughts now. Recently, you know, people have been kind of calling out sponsors, saying that they need to pull their sponsorship from the NFL. Just announced this morning, Radisson did that very thing. So far, though, nothing from CoverGirl. What are your thoughts on that? What would you advise? What's the best PR move here?
Well, I don't think sponsors should turn their back on the NFL, whether they want to take away endorsements from the Ray Rices and the Adrian Petersons of the world. That's a business decision. But to take away endorsements from a whole league based upon a couple of bad apples seems to me to be addressing the problem with a hammer instead of a scalpel.
Interesting take there. And of course, Michelle, as you look at this, you see kind of a disparate tactics used by the NFL in different cases. And of course, every case is different. But as someone who makes a living by getting people lesser sentences if it deserves it, but you know, as a defense attorney, does this seem ripe for appeals and things like that? Is this is only going to cause more problems for the NFL unless they get on top of it?
I think they have to get on top of it, especially, and let's also remember, Adrian Peterson has not taken a plea. Okay, he's been indicted. He has a presumption of innocence here, and that's a whole other discussion about what's going to be happening with Adrian Peterson and whether, again, you know.
We have to go. Even though he has apologized.
Dan, Michelle, thank you both.
You never forget about the presumption of innocence. Dan Hochheiser in New York City, Michelle Suskauer with us here.
We'll get it.
And we'll get it eventually. We'll be back with more here on America's Forum. Thank you both for being with us.